Hello friends, welcome back to M's Language Academy. I'm M, and today I want to talk about the number one mistake my students make without realizing it. It concerns two commonly used words that most non-native English speakers, even the advanced ones, use incorrectly. They are suggest and recommend. I'm sure you use these words often, and if you have, odds are you've made the mistake I'm going to talk about. I hear this mistake all the time, and when I point it out to my students, they are almost always surprised. I think it's because people hear it over and over, and they just assume it's proper English. Everyone is saying it all the time. Unfortunately, this time, everyone is wrong. Let's have a look at an example. I'll give you two options and you can decide which option you're more likely to use. So here goes. If you want to find a better job, A, I suggest you to improve your English. Or B, if you want to find a better job, I suggest you should improve your English. Which of these would you probably say? Be honest. I believe most of you would choose option A. And if you have, I have some bad news for you. This is unfortunately incorrect. Let's have a look at another example. My friend, A, recommended me to see a doctor, or B, recommended that I see a doctor. Which of these do you think is correct? You've guessed it, it's option B. Can you see what's going on here? Let's have a look at the rules. So here are the rules. Words such as advise, ask, tell, or agree can be followed by an object and the infinitive, right? Suggest and recommend cannot. In other words, it's okay to say, I advise you to do something. For example, I advise you to see a doctor. I'm asking you to do something. I'm asking you to study English every day. Or I'm telling you to go home. I'm telling you to subscribe to this channel. However, we simply don't do this with suggest and recommend. In my English teaching career, I've learned never to say never. So I'm going to say that this is true 95% of the time, and I'll explain to you when it's okay to do it. More on that later. Now I want to look at the things that we can and should use after suggest and recommend. Number one, a noun. We can use a noun after suggest or recommend. Examples. Would you like some wine with your steak? I recommend Merlot, or I suggest port. Now, I know nothing about wine, so these suggestions may be wrong from the culinary point of view, but as the doctor in one of my favorite Czech movies of all time, Sir, You're a Widow, said, you can say nonsense, but it must be grammatically correct. Anyway, another example can be, the doctor suggested exercise when I told him about my back pain, or the doctor recommended exercise when I told him about my back pain. Number two, the gerund. What on earth is that, you ask? It's basically a verb followed by ing. For example, going, swimming, visiting, reading, and so on. Examples. If you're bored, I suggest watching TV, or I recommend watching TV. Or if you want to improve your English, I suggest practicing every day, or I recommend practicing every day. Number three, should. This may seem a bit strange, and it's more common in British English, but it's my favorite option because it's the easiest to use. You just stick should after suggest or recommend, and you don't need to worry about mistakes. Hooray! Examples. The financial advisor suggested we should invest in Bitcoin. Or the financial advisor recommended that we should invest in Bitcoin. No financial advice, by the way. Another example. I suggest this person shouldn't be hired as they don't have the necessary qualifications. Or I recommend this person shouldn't be hired as they don't have the necessary qualifications. Number 4, the present or the past tense. That's right. You can simply use the present or the past tense after these verbs. While some more conservative English teachers may argue that this is not proper English, this structure is becoming more and more popular. I'll show you some examples I found on the website of the BBC. And my motto has always been, if it's good enough for the BBC, it's good enough for me. Here's one example from the BBC website. Her granny recommends that she continues with her education for 3 more years. Here's another. Everybody recommended that she continued with her studies for 3 more years. We can, of course, replace recommend with suggest and get everybody suggested that she continued with her studies for 3 more years. Number 5, the subjunctive. Don't worry, this is the last one. Some of you may not know what the subjunctive is, and I don't want to go into too much detail. I may do that in a future video. For now, I'll just say the subjunctive is a special form of verb which we use when we want to sound more formal. We make it by using the base form of a verb. In other words, the infinitive without to, which means it's the same for all the persons. And we say, I go, you go, he go, she go, it go, etc. There's also another way that I used to explain it to my students. Do you remember the examples with should from number 3? If you simply remove should from those examples, you'll get the subjunctive. Let's have a look at the original examples. The financial advisor suggested we should invest in Bitcoin. And I recommend this person shouldn't be hired as they don't have the necessary qualifications. Now, if we remove should, we'll get the financial advisor suggested that we invest in Bitcoin, and I recommend this person not be hired as they don't have the necessary qualifications. Oh, I almost forgot. I promised to tell you when it's okay to use the infinitive. It's okay to use everyone's favorite structure only after recommend and only in the passive voice. So we can say, for example, we were recommended to see a doctor, or students are recommended to read the following books. Whew, that was a lot of information. Now let's take a little test to see how much you've learned. Take this sentence. The doctor advised me to take vitamins. Now try to express the same idea. Start like this. The doctor suggested. And now try to think of all the correct ways to finish the sentence. Pause the video while you do it. I'll wait. Here are all the sentences I came up with. The doctor suggested vitamins. The doctor suggested taking vitamins. The doctor suggested that I should take vitamins. The doctor suggested that I took vitamins. And finally, the doctor suggested I take vitamins. Let's have a look at another sentence. For example, why don't you try investing in Bitcoin? Again, try to change the sentence using recommend and start like this. I recommend. And again, think of all the correct ways to finish this sentence. Don't forget to pause the video. Here are my examples. I recommend Bitcoin. I recommend investing in Bitcoin. I recommend that you should invest in Bitcoin. I recommend that you invest in Bitcoin. Again, this isn't financial advice. Oh, and if you came up with any other examples, I suggest you write them in the comments. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I suggest liking it and subscribing to this channel. Or I suggest you like it and subscribe to this channel. I suggest you should like the video and subscribe to this channel. I recommend subscribing to this channel. I recommend you should like the video and subscribe to this channel. I recommend that you